Hello and welcome to The Wizard and the Priestess. I'm your host, Matt. Today, I'm with a very special guest, the one and only Susie Neville. Welcome. I have to speak slow because Susie can't understand me. And I can't understand her a lot of the time, but that's okay.
Well, thank goodness I'm not teaching you.
Oh no, That would be fun though. I'd be your favourite, hands
You'd be
down.
like, what?
No need to comment. So, to give the listeners a sense of who you are, do you mind sharing a bit of your background, where you studied, and what was the driver behind you studying physiotherapy?
Well, primarily it was a lot of injuries doing a sport that where I crashed a lot. I did trampolining for years and I played badminton, and so I was constantly at the physio. But also I was at a physio that really kind of hurt me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I remember being put on a mechanical traction unit for my neck, and I had such a bad headache afterwards that it made me throw up.
How old were you when this happened?
I would have been like 14 or 15 maybe.
Okay. Yep.
Maybe younger. I can't remember, but around then. So weirdly, even after having that issue with that reaction to the treatment, I decided that, because I'd experienced physiotherapy, that would be what I'd do. It wasn't that it was a love of mine, but it was, it was just something that I'd learned about with my sports, and I was always playing sport. So I was always running around, biking everywhere, or playing cricket, or playing badminton, or competing in trampolining. And trampolining was a 5 to 6 sort of times a week trainings, so it was very full on. But I was always busy with that, and I actually think that has steered me towards a really good level of understanding around movement and health around movement, and just the consistency, how you can drive a health response from consistency. And I think that if I look at the younger generation, it's quite interesting to see that they haven't got that kind of crazy lifestyle where your parents are not going to take you anywhere. You just have to get on your bike and carry all your gear, whatever you've got. And I used to ride 45 minutes every day to school on the way there, and then same on the way back, and whatever weather. And I grew up in Christchurch, New Zealand, and our winters were cold, they were miserable, and yet we did that. I rode all the time to my training sessions in Christchurch, and occasionally Mum would take me, but she had 4 other kids and 4 other stepkids, and so
So how many in your family?
How many in my family? There's
Did you grow up with?
4 of us.
4.
And I'm number 2, but there were 4 stepkids that came in around when I was 14, and they were all quite equal in age to each one of us.
Yeah.
So we would have the best backyard cricket games.
I can imagine.
Oh my God, we had so much fun. Hours on playing cricket.
What are you a bowler or a batter?
I'm a batter and a fast bowler.
Fast bowler?
And lead batter.
A lead batter.
Is that what you call it?
Sure.
So anyway, I went to physiotherapy school in Otago in New Zealand, but I actually found working as a physio wasn't as rewarding as working as a Chek practitioner. But I didn't actually even understand how great the Chek system was until I spent about 12 years working as a physio. I had done a lot of postgraduate study in manual therapy and acupuncture.
Was this in Christchurch?
That was in Auckland by now. Yeah. And even after all that training, I still kind of felt like there was an issue around people just always coming back with the same problems. So I felt like we were always, treating the part that hurt rather than looking at the injury being part of a byproduct of something else that was going wrong elsewhere. And it wasn't until I met Paul Chek that I realised that was how you could change your thinking. So, and I think physiotherapy is still very much around treat the part that hurts. And I think that physios are also a little bit, the thing that I realised when I studied Chek was how thorough the assessment was, and how, as a physio, I actually thought, wow, I've just been a little bit lazy with my assessments. So that was a real bonus. But I love that I have the physiotherapy background. It did make it easier to go through.
Sure. Have you noticed a difference between physios around the world and their approach?
Yes, I have, absolutely. I know that there's the Australian physios, the Canadians, they're quite strong in their manual therapy training.
Okay.
I find South African physios are quite good with their sports medicine and their sporting stuff, as are Australians. The British, I don't know that well, but the British physios that I have worked with seem to be quite thorough and well-rounded. I spent 8 years living in New York City, and before I met Chek, so I was working as a physio there, and honestly it was very hands-off. This was back in the early 90s, and it was all around taking care of not wanting to get sued. So people didn't come in and use their hands, and here was I, a New Zealand physio with postgraduate diplomas in manual therapy, and all I wanted to do was use my hands, but and I kind of figured that, oh well, if I get sued I'll just come home and go bush, hide.
That's the logical thing to do.
But it was actually a really great thing because it was such a difference of what they were experiencing. So I think that the American physiotherapy sort of their work style is they work as a bit of a coach where they will get their assistant to help them with some of the stuff that the client needs to do, and then they'll get an exercise physiologist who works with them. And so it's quite a different model, and it might be really different now, but I just had a physio come to me the other day and work with me with a client, and I put the posture plumb line up, and the physio sort of looked at me and he was like, I said, we're going to do posture, and he honestly didn't know kind of what we were going to do, and I said, well, watch me, because this is how I assess posture as part of my assessment. And it concerned me because he was quite young, and I thought, I wonder if actually they're not even looking at posture these days.
Yeah, so I can imagine it would have changed.
Well, I tell you what has changed. I think COVID changed a lot for people in the medical or the physiotherapy or sports medicine area, in that what a lot of people realised was when we had to shift to online sessions, we didn't get the ability to do the physical assessment in the same way, and actually found out that people were doing quite well without having to be seen physically. And I thought that was a real shift, and a shift towards really listening to the subjective assessment and really hearing what the person is saying, because I do feel like clients are quite good at telling you what's going on if you listen to them. And also teaching them exercise. So we had to teach them how to take care of themselves. So that really shifted my sort of concept of, I don't have to maybe do so much hands-on work. Maybe I actually have to be a lot more driven towards their sort of their self-care and exercise and stretches and getting them moving.
Yeah. So I do online consultancy with the physio here. It's like telehealth stuff. Yeah. And there are times where you think, I would just love to have that shoulder or that knee, or just to feel what's going on, but you can't because it's
and that's because we're both hands-on with our work.
It's also funny you were saying that a lot of physios will concentrate on the spot that hurts. I don't have a physio or anything background, so I went straight into Chek, learning from that. So that was all I knew. Then I remember I went to a physio and a chiro and a host of other people. Yeah,
because you had quite a bad injury, didn't you?
I had a decent neck injury,
Right.
And it was like, is that it? I was expecting the full kind of treatment, how we measure the angles and the ribs and everything. And it's like, no.
Yeah. So I really worry. I've done some market validation recently for a small business thing I'm thinking about doing, and what I've really found out is that personal trainers are not doing assessments, and physiotherapists are doing some of it, but it's a bit of a pick and a mix, and quite often they'll do a movement assessment.
The PT?
Physiotherapists.
Physio,
The PTs, the ones I sort of looked at or asked, were really not doing anything.
Yeah, right.
Which is a bit sad, because I think that goes right back to when I first met Paul, and he was like, the personal trainers are doing what they've experienced themselves or what they've done, and so they're giving it to their clients. And I was like, God, is that still going on? And I'm generalising here. I know that there will be trainers that are doing more than that. But in my market validation, I found both personal trainers and physios were really not doing the sort of level of assessment that I thought would be going on, because as a Chek practitioner, I've come to think that what we do is kind of normal. I know that physios don't do it all, but they do assess the part that hurts. They just don't look at the body as a whole and treat the person as a whole. They treat the
joint as a whole.
The joint as part of the person rather than the person being part of that joint.
Yeah.
So, it was quite interesting to discover that. And I think it's a challenge for Chek practitioners, in the sense that if we could just pitch ourselves as those people that sit in the middle, we are kind of getting a bit more information than maybe a personal trainer might do, but we're also looking more holistically than what a physio would do, and therefore we support either. It doesn't have to be that we're better or not able to do either one of those levels. So we're sitting right in the middle, and we bridge that gap, and we can work with either.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and I'd say the PT, the Chek practitioner, they get the most information because they've spent the time investigating it. But the chiro might know more about the disc, for example. The physio might know more about the tendonitis, let's say, and the osteo about something else, doctor about something else, but they don't know
why that might have come about.
Right?
Yes.
Why it might come about, and what, the whole story behind it, because people don't realise that pain is usually a long story.
Yes, and people also don't realise is that the pain is the teacher. The pain is teaching them something, so they try to shut it down in whatever way they can, but they don't look at what is it that they're holding in their body that teaches them why there is pain. And that can be at all levels. It can be physical, and it can be something that's coming from their internal body, their organ system, or it could be mental, emotional. It's coming from their thoughts, or it's coming from past traumas, or anything that they're holding. Which I know that you are
I can go on a massive tangent with that.
Massive tangent.
We'll go.
How about we go on a massive tangent?
Can do. You've half answered my second question.
Half answered?
Half. So you've been an instructor for the Chek Institute for how long?
I started working in 2000.
2000, okay. So, how did that come about, and why did you want to teach? What did Paul force you to teach?
It was so random. It's like all the stars were aligning to put Paul Chek into my world. I had spent 5 years living in America and never heard of him, working as a physio. And so I then went to New Zealand, and for Paul, New Zealand was a place where he was accepted. There wasn't quite the competition that there was in America. He was like this fresh, interesting, really inspirational person who made us look at exercise and then at bodies in a very different way. And so he was coming to New Zealand because he was getting people in his courses. And randomly I was working with a podiatrist who was like, he said to me, you've got to come and look at these videos. And he was like, but don't tell anyone that I'm showing you this, because it's really kind of like, you can't, I've bought these and I'm not meant to share it with you. He was really nervous about intellectual property. So I went to his house. We'd go to his house and we'd sit there in the evenings, we'd watch these videos. And then after I had this exposure to this name, then Paul came to New Zealand and did a course. He did scientific core. So I did the course with him. And then after doing that course, I was like, wow, I need to get myself into a gym where I'm working as a physio but in a gym. So I moved out of where I was working, which was just a very traditional physiotherapy, treat the part that hurts, don't exercise really except for these minimal kind of lie on the bed exercises. Took myself into a gym in the city, set myself up with a little room in this big gym, and weirdly it was the gym that he would come and train at when he came to New Zealand. And that was with all the people where he developed the triple cross and Fitnessworks was the company that he worked with to develop that triple cross cable system that we all use and love. And so I'm in there one day, and he comes in and he spends about an hour talking with me about why I should do one of his courses, because he remembered me from the scientific core course, and had seen that I'd moved into a gym, and I've said this story a few times to quite a few people. I said to Paul, I don't think I'd get anything out of his course, which is so rude. And he was really humble, and he said to me, okay, well, let's work it on this. And he said, if you come to the course and you don't think you've got anything out of it, I'll give you your money back. And that was a big deal, because I had to borrow $10,000 from the bank to go to San Diego and do this, what was an 8-day course then. And with the New Zealand exchange rate, it was really tough. That was back in 1999. And then at the end of that course, I just went into his office. I was like, what do I have to do? I want to work for you. It wasn't, I want your money back. I want my money back, sorry. It was more, I want to work for you. And then 2 months later, I was at the Institute working, and I left New Zealand and packed up my life and moved to California, and that was 2000.
Commitment.
Yeah, it was crazy. And, living in at that age, I was in my early 30s. At that age, you really leave your friends, and it was tough because it's hard to make a new group and a new tribe. It was a real decision to do that for my career rather than to do it really for making a move to be there to set up a new life. It was really just to make a move to be there to set up a career. And so. But after about 3 years of being at the Institute, I decided I wanted to go back to New York City. So I said to Paul, let's set up an East Coast branch of the Chek Institute, and let's get your courses going. And we would do 1 course a month, sometimes 2 courses a month. We had so many numbers coming through. It was so great. And there was a lot of this was the it was 2003 I went to New York again. 2003 to 2006 it was really going mad. There were lots of people coming through.
Yeah, I think I started my journey either 2008 or 9.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
You're a baby.
I'm a baby. But for me it was I watched core conditioning and thought, oh yeah, that's me. I really resonated with it. Then I applied it to my clients. They got good results, but then the trainers in the gym started to consult me about their clients. So I thought that's when I was like, oh, okay, there's something here. And that's what got me into it. But it wasn't until my dad got diagnosed with cancer. That's when it just took off, because I was like, I have to know more.
Right.
This can't be it.
So he would have started the HLC courses probably in early 2000s. I remember him starting when he was writing the organics manual when I was working at the Institute. And that was before I went to New York. So it was pre-2003. And then it was then called the NLC courses, Nutrition and Lifestyle course, and it wasn't. They had to change that name. So you would have got it when he was probably also starting to move more into the mental emotional side of it? Yeah,
I think Dad got either 2010, 2011 ish, and that's when I started noticing all the Chek exercise stuff. I think I would have done CP1 at that point, but for me it was just like, oh yeah, I'll keep doing it, and then that happened. I was like, no, I need to know more.
So when did you do the HLC courses?
Can't remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I did them really quick.
Right.
Like one after the other. So, I couldn't tell you what year it was.
So I was working at the Institute when Paul met a lot of the doctors that helped develop the HLC course, and he worked with them as one of his patients, and then like Dr. Oliver would come and work at the Institute and really help develop these courses, and Bill Timmons, who owned Biohealth Diagnostics. Unfortunately, Bill Timmons is no longer around, but he really introduced to us the gluten intolerance issues. He was really kind of up in the whole understanding of, integrative health, and to me this was groundbreaking stuff. If you think about the stuff that's happening now if we listen to podcasts and who's suggesting what about foods. And this was all being talked about when I was working for the Institute in the early 2000s. And so Paul managed to gather himself around these incredible people who allowed those courses to come together. And you know, so they've been doing it for long enough now that it really is, when we hear these podcasts of, you know, Andrew Huberman or Peter Attia or Rhonda Patrick, or, you know, these amazing people that we're learning so much from. And I listen to it and I'm like, yeah, I know that. And I'm like, yeah, I learned that. And if I look back at my notes, it's all in there in these handwritten, scrawled notes that I would fill, you know, notebooks of information. And I think, wow, they knew that back then. And the other thing was, my brother was really unwell with ulcerative colitis, and he was getting skinnier and skinnier and more malnourished, and he'd been on steroids for ages. And so I said to him and my mum, I'm like, come and live with me in San Diego for a month. I'm here, let's expose you to all these doctors. And he had such a huge turnaround with it. You know, he wasn't able to hold a relationship. He just didn't have any sense of a future, really. And I was really concerned for him. He wasn't able to, you know, even control his bowels, really. And so...
it's a nasty thing.
Yeah, in a month... I mean, I know he continued on, but in a month of seeing these guys, there was a huge change, and it was really just lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of supplements that were thrown in the mix as well to help boost his immunity and to boost his ability to utilise the nutrients that were coming in. But I was blown away by that, and that was, again, before I moved to New York, which was pre-2002.
Wow. He's all right?
Yeah, he is. He is. He's got 3 kids. Beautiful marriage, working hard. It's like, wow, when I think back to what was happening there, and I'm like, we're so lucky to have him.
Yeah. Okay. I've been trying to figure out how to ask this question. If not, I can just edit it. But I do it right.
I don't think I can help you with this one.
So, studying the Chek system, it's fair to say there's a few assessments that we teach.
Yeah.
Just a few. Like, I know level 1 there's, I think, 10.
Okay.
Level 2 there's like 36 or something like that. Level 3, which we just finished.
I've never counted them. We just finished level 3. Yes.
We just finished level 3. So how do you find the students interpret the information?
So I think that typically the Chek courses are really loaded with lots and lots of information, and they have to come away and learn how to put the battery of tests together. Quite often in the early days I see them trying to work out what this test means and how do I work with this test, and then this test means this. So classically the first levels are teaching posture assessment, they're teaching curvatures of your spine, positions of faulty head position, faulty upper back position, faulty lumbar position, pelvic tilt, and they learn what neutral and normal static posture should be, plus core function, abdominal testing to see if the abdominals are working in a balanced way, or if they're, you know, like some of them are shut down or some of them are overactive. So they learn all that first, and then they start learning the link tension assessment, which is in effect a muscle balance assessment. And that becomes, now that they can see and they've understood the static posture, and then now they look at the muscle length as to why it might be pulling them into a direction. So you're slowly progressing through learning of what the numbers mean, and then when you look at static posture, you're like, oh, that shoulder is in a weird position, what could be driving that? And then we take them into the next level and we teach them, well, these are the muscles that are driving it. And what you see in the posture is now backed up by those assessments on muscle balance. Then we also look at how people start to move, and we assess their ability to like compound movement patterns that you would do in a gym, or and they're called primal movement patterns, which are really related to the movement patterns that you do in life. So it's a sit to stand, it's a bend, it's a twist, it's a pull, it's a push, it's looking at how you walk, and looking at how you lunge and step up and do single leg work. So that then, when you see deficits in how they move, now the students can go back and say, oh, I saw that in that length tension assessment where that muscle was long and maybe weak, and then I saw it be confirmed in the movement assessment where they have a deficit where they're not controlling the movement. And now you're like, oh, that backs that up. So each level is backing up this testing on the other levels. But what happens is you get this huge battery of tests, and learning to interpret it is the hardest thing. So just, then you come to the level we've just taught, which is the IMS3, and that is looking at the spinal dysfunction and the spinal injuries that can happen, and relating that full assessment to those spinal injuries. And part of the assessment also in the level 2 is looking at how infant development has driven their ability to move and strategize, and whether they've been able to develop movement patterns from a young age, or whether we need to start introducing those movement patterns so that they can also know to move properly. It's not just about the length tension of long weak muscles or short tight muscles. It's about actually, do they have it in their nervous system of how they should move, or how, if a child has crawled properly, they'll be developing the stability around the shoulders and the hips. And if they don't go through that, like the kid bum shuffled, or just drag themselves straight from on their tummy up to walking as fast as possible based on the parents trying to get their kid to be the first one to stand and then the first one to walk. And you look at, you'll see things like flat feet or pronated feet, you'll see shoulders that are unstable, you'll see hips that are not being able to be held well. So it's a really huge picture, but that's also really confusing. And part of staying as a Chek practitioner with every level that you learn this stuff is learning to see your client and interpret your findings. And that's where I think a lot of Chek practitioners, they go to the course and then they leave and they kind of feel like they're sort of left on their own. And if I could say one thing to Chek practitioners, it's like use your senior faculty members as mentors. Like, come along with the client history and we teach you how to interpret what you've found, because it is really hard, because there is so much information.
Because it can be like I asked the student in either the last class or the class before, how are you finding like the flow, the amount of information? And this was late day 4. And he said, I feel like I've just learnt a new language, and now tomorrow I have to write a book in that language.
Oh, wow, that's such a good analogy.
So I thought that was kind of really eye-opening. And I said, would you change anything? He's like, no, not at all. We just have to kind of get into it.
Nice.
But then I've found a lot of people don't go away and practice it.
Yes. And I would just confirm that based on what I saw this week, that by the end of today, they were doing great assessments and they picked it up really quickly, but all it is practice. And if you're struggling to know how to practice, or I say to students, I'm like, just go back to level 1, IMS 1, and just do those tests with your clients. Don't do any more. Yeah, or maybe just do 3 tests with your client. Get those down, and then in a few weeks add another 3 tests, or maybe in a month go to the next level of learning and break those tests down. It's like when we test movement patterns. When we teach someone how to move, like if I'm teaching someone how to do a single arm cable push, I'm going to chunk it down. I'm going to break that down into an isolated push, learning how to move the upper body, learning how to not compensate, learning how to twist. And then I teach them how to use their legs and weight shift into it and push the weight. It's chunking it. It's like any motor learning has to be broken down into bits. Why don't the Chek practitioners just break down their assessment into bits? And you will still get so much information from what you're getting, even in a little bit of assessment, that you'll be giving your client a great program. You don't have to do the whole lot to give them a program.
So many years ago, I mentored a student who had done, I don't know if it was exercise coach then, level 1.
Which was the first level,
Yeah. And he was overwhelmed and wondering how to structure stuff. I said, pick one assessment and master it.
Yeah.
You know who that person is?
No.
Breeze Carey.
Oh, so he's one of my favourite. He's at IMS 3 level now, and he is the one guy that does not compromise on his assessment. Every client he sees, he spends 3 hours, he does every test, and he does it very well, and he writes really great programs. So that's interesting. I didn't know that was very... Yeah, and he mentors with me once a fortnight.
Yeah.
We spend an hour once every 2 weeks, and he never misses it.
So I'm going to say you're welcome.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Matt. Snorted.
So that merges in with the next question.
Yes.
Has the demographic of people signing up to study with the Chek Institute over the years changed much? If so, how? Discuss.
Actually, I would say no.
Hasn't?
No.
Okay.
I would say maybe in the early 2000s we saw a lot more real bodybuilder type gym people coming in, and they struggled. I remember in the early years, students having full meltdowns in the last time.
Yeah.
Like full meltdowns, and I'm not getting that quite the same amount. It might be that I'm just kinder to them now, but...
No, I can imagine.
I think it's because when you come from that sort of gym training of bodybuilding,
Sure.
You're not thinking about muscles moving together and creating movement into joints and how that translates into movement. You're thinking about isolating muscles, and so
Get big.
for them it was hard.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot less of that, and I also see that the people that come to the higher levels are in a different state of health because they also have to go through the holistic lifestyle coaching courses at the same time as they go through the IMS courses, the integrated movement science courses. So if they're backing those two up, they are learning about taking care of themselves, and as they get better at taking care of themselves in a holistic lifestyle way with the foundations of sleep and food and movement and breathing and hydration and thoughts and working with their community, then they actually have a better ability to take on all that huge amount of information. So I like how that's working. As far as age goes or the type of person that comes in, it's always been quite mixed, and we still have that. And we're still getting people that are coming out of other professions and completely changing.
Yeah, I see a lot of people wanting to transition.
I'm mostly teaching the higher levels now, so you probably see a little more of the lower levels coming in. What are they? Has that changed? Has that demographic changed?
I just remember my journey going through levels 1 and 2 for me were very PT based. I get the IMS and the CP. CP2, which is now IMS 3. I actually did that with Angie, that class.
Chek.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
That was like you're knocking on the door of becoming the therapist from the trainer. That's how I saw it.
Right.
Then level CP3, IMS 4. That was the step up. When the dad thing happened, that's where I wanted to get to straight away. That's what I just saw. And then, level 5 is...
So you at the lower levels, you see mostly personal trainers, not medical people?
No, when I did level 1, like the lower levels.
Right.
There was always one token physio or chiro or...
Yeah, see, I think that's still the same.
Yeah, I think maybe last 2 there hasn't been for me. But outside that...
You've had more medical professionals coming?
The opposite. There have been plumbers and electricians and...
Yes, definitely seen, that. I guess in the early days there weren't as many people changing the profession totally, but I have to say when I was teaching back in Sydney, when Place of Chair was open, that would have been 2010,
11, 12 -ish.
Yeah, maybe then. I remember seeing there were 3 people in the class that had come from a completely different industry, and it was tough because they did not speak the language. But they did it, and I still keep in touch with those people. So, cool. But it was hard for them, but they did it.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I forgot my next question. I can edit this out too. It's fine. I probably won't.
Fucking useless. Interpreting, I think we probably need to.
Yes. Okay, so outside the Chek world, well, in this class, you mentioned something about gathering client history. And I can only, it just reminded me of a conversation I had last week with a patient who basically said, no, pretty boring history, blah, blah. And I'm like, people come in to see me, I want to know if you twisted your ankle when you were 3. I want to know everything. He said, no, not a lot happened. Working away. And then he's like, are you sure nothing's happened around here? Oh yeah, there was that time I blew myself up. Or something completely crazy that's happened to them in their life, like something majorly traumatic. If someone was going to see physio-chiro doctor, or they are, why does the practitioner need to know that?
Well, this goes back to the whole thing about the body is a system of systems. So if we don't look at potential old injuries that could still be creating movement faults, or potential illnesses that people have had, that could change how the organ is. So organs will influence the musculoskeletal system. So viscerosomatic reflex.
I have heard that.
So it's really, really important to know everything, because people come to you thinking that you're a physical practitioner, or as a physio, that I'm just a physio, and all that they need to tell me is about their actual physical injuries, and they forget to mention that they've had metastatic cancer, or they forget to tell me that when I turn them over and I see the scar that runs right down the central midline, that they've had, open heart surgery, or they've had, a thoracotomy and they've opened up the ribs. They just forget about these big things that really drive part of the whole picture. And people have to be able to speak that story, because if you think about the emotions that come and react with a physical injury, you know that there's going to be something held in there, and if you haven't checked that old physical injury is now totally cleared, and there's still something holding that could be emotional, that could be just structural, you will see conversations further up the chain, and you'll be like, why can't I make a difference to this person? Why can't they improve in how they move, or how they function in their day? Because you've only really, dressed half the picture. You've got all those old injuries. We make people fill out a body chart, and we say, put in red all the active injuries that are current now, but put in blue all the old ones, and write down when it happened. There's real developmental phases of growth in your mental, emotional sort of energetic system, and if you have an injury at a certain age, it can speak to a potential emotional developmental issue that might have been halted by that injury, or did a trauma happen because of an emotional issue, and that affects that part of the body. There's a real emotional anatomy. The anatomy of the body relates to emotions, just like the anatomy of the body relates to organs. If you've got an organ, for example, your right liver, put your hand right where that right liver is, and know that maybe there's going to be a structural problem. Right there is the obliques, there's the diaphragm, you've got some of the muscles of the lat around there as well, the thoracolumbar fascia, and there you've got movement dysfunctions in the some of the main, muscles that keep you alive, the diaphragm. You've got muscles that rotate you, muscles that pull you, and that organ can influence those, the function of those. So you've got the emotions driving that area, and that area is related to energy around something that might have happened in your, 14 to 21 years of age, or even in the chest, 21 to 27 years of age, and there are issues that come in the upper abdominal region that can be around personal power, self-will, self-esteem, and then up top the issues around in the lungs and the chest around giving and receiving love and relationship. And also if you think about the abdominal or the digestive system, is supplied by the nerves that come off the very base of the thoracic spine and the up top of the lumbar spine, and they're, the iliohypogastric and ilioinguinal nerves feed into the gut, but they also feed into the abdominals and the lower abdominals, and the colon can be affected. You probably know that better than me. But there's the connection. It's also system of systems. You've got to see this body as a cybernetic system. You can't have one part of that system breaking down and not look at all the factors behind what drives that, and that becomes physical, nutritional, visceral, organ, hormonal related, and emotional as well. And I know that you're the master in that.
Well, I wouldn't say master by any means, but I think a lot of people don't acknowledge the fact that before the muscle is innervated, the nerve often talks to the organ first.
Right.
So same with blood supply, same with venous flow, but not many people really think to trace it back systemically.
Yes.
They might trace it back through the knee's doing that because the hip's doing that. Why is the hip doing that? Yeah. What can the hip do without everything else functioning? So that's part of the reason I took an interest in it.
Yeah.
Because no one thinks to look for it.
And how the physical body really is not so high on the totem pole or the the order of survival. The physical body is on the backbench.
Yeah.
To the internal body. And if something's happening internally and then it presents physically on the external body or in the musculoskeletal system, you got to sort of think there must be quite a lot going on inside for it to be showing up exteriorly and I think more externally. I think what you do is really magical.
Well, I think it's just that mental, emotional weightlifting all day, every day is a backpack of emotional stuff that is heavier than anything in the gym. But if you don't look at that, then it builds pressure. And eventually that pressure is going to pop.
And that pressure goes to those organs before it goes to the musculoskeletal.
Yep. It whispers to you first. And then eventually, if you keep ignoring it, it will yell.
It will yell. And there's the pain teacher. So that's why when we get pain, we have to think, am I going to try and shut this pain down with medication, or am I actually going to listen to what it's telling me and really go internally with that and emotionally with that? And I love what you just said then, it whispers and then it yells.
It does. And a lot of people who just want to medicate, they don't want to look at themselves because they don't want to own that. But also, I think it takes an adult to own yourself. Is it 70% of people in the child archetype, something like that?
You'd know that more than I.
I'm going to say 70. I read also somewhere 90. 90% of people don't graduate past who they were at the age of 12.
Oh yes. Was that Steiner?
I think so.
And we want to be masterful in our body. We want our bodies to function at a level, but we're not going to be masterful in our approach to our body.
No.
And ultimately health. So many people are like, God, you're so lucky you're healthy. I'm like, dude, if only you understood how much work this takes. It's not, once you get to a level of health, it does ease off in the sense of work, but your maintenance is never ending. And if you stop trying to be masterful, and if you stop really taking care of yourself, things will always start whispering and then yelling, because it is a work or a job that doesn't go away ever.
No, and I think that's why I wrote my second book, because when you get the diagnosis, the dysbulge, the gut thing, pick your label, that's really that's the symptom. The real diagnosis is what you've been eating and how long have you been eating it. When have you been eating it? The stress of life, poorly designed exercise program, likely dehydration, relationships.
Yeah.
That's the diagnosis.
And it's this thing of the things that you do every day are what impact your health, but people think of that as a negative. If I keep doing this negative thing, yeah, sure, it's going to impact my health, but actually it's the positive things that you do every day that impact your health. It's both. And so when we have that little treat and we do it every day, then it's probably going to impact our health.
Well, everything does, right? And I think a lot of us, I don't know about you, I seem to come across a lot of people who are always trying to heal something. It's like they've convinced themselves they're trying to heal something all the time.
So many people that are really health conscious.
But I would argue too much.
Yes, I would agree. Totally agree.
And I
see it with a lot of Chek practitioners actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like the pendulum goes
too far.
So it just keeps going.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I tell them, and it's just, I want to see the look on their face and say, I understand the connecting, wanting to escape being human to connect to spirit, mindful meditation, all that, whatever your thing is to connect, all for it, all the time. At the same time, we are spirit already. So why not just enjoy being human while you've got the body?
Right, absolutely, that's so great. And why not celebrate what is actually good? A lot of people are so caught up in trying to be better and better and better that they don't celebrate what they've actually already achieved. And if you are a person in your 40s or your 50s that's living mostly, with good energy and, not so much pain, might be a little bit of pain comes up every now and again. But if you're in that place, you should celebrate that.
Yeah.
And you look around you and you're like, wow, I'm quite unique out here because a lot of people are not having a good time like this. But they get a bit stuck worrying about the next thing. Sure. Everyone's all about that next thing. Yep. Let's embrace what we've done, celebrate.
What if, yep.
Yeah, and be the human.
Enjoy it for what it is, and
stop judging yourself on that, and just the push of sympathetic nervous system to parasympathetic nervous system is really important, as that's health. It's like we should have stress, we should have no stress. We need to be dualistic and diphasic like that. We need to just there's the light and the dark cycle, just like there's the inhalation and the exhalation. We need to be able to have some negative stress that we recover from because we celebrate and breathe and recover, and then we need to have some good stresses, and then we need to go from that good place back into a place that maybe is a stress response or a stimulus. I mean, that's what exercise is. It's putting yourself into a stress response, and then after that you recover. And now most people think they get stronger in the gym.
No,
they get stronger when they sleep. So I say to people, don't think that you've done that workout and you can spend that night up partying because you've missed your anabolic rebound and your ability to recover. You're not getting stronger in the gym, and it is something that I'm trying to teach my son and his mates. They're 15, and they go to the gym every day to get their gains and to get their arms really built.
But 15, they already know everything, right?
They already know what?
They already know everything about life.
They do. So I have kept saying to my son, I'm like, you're not getting strong in the gym. you're actually breaking down. You need to go to bed and get off your phone and go to sleep so that you can recover. And if I can mention the gains happen at night, or if I can mention,
sell it. Yeah,
we might do that. Cool. But yes, he knows everything.
So there's a couple of things we can get out of today's discussion. Firstly, go easy on yourself.
Yeah, totally.
Enjoy yourself. Give yourself permission to have fun.
Yeah, but give yourself permission to have some stress.
Yes, as well, give yourself permission to allow the light and the dark.
Yeah.
Because that's what creates polarity, and that's what we're living in.
Yeah.
And probably the most important, if you're stuck, ask a 15-year-old.
No, don't ask a 15-year-old. If you're stuck, just, I always say, look for the balance and the stress compared to the balance and the fun. Keep your stress responses as short as you can. And my favourite book title of all time is Robert Sapolsky's Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. I mean, they either survive the chase and rest and recover, and they don't hold on to that stress.
No, they literally shake it off.
Forgotten it, or they get eaten.
And that's, in which case they don't have to worry about it anymore.
They don't have to worry, because now they're spirit.
Well, thank you, Susie. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's been a great week.
Been awesome having you here. And thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Have a good week.
Bis später.
You've been listening to The Wizard and the Priestess. Thanks for stopping by. Stay connected and be open.